Hello again, everyone. Rich Wildman here. Glad you're with us. Glad to see you out there. It is the 6th of July. I think that's what it is. I remember fireworks going up and exploding everywhere a couple of days ago. So hopefully your 4th of July weekend is going well. If not, well, blame Tommy. It's his fault. He lives in New York and controls all that stuff. At least that's what I understand. Anyway, we're glad you joined us today on Music Scene Investigation. We got a lot going on this week with some new music for you to listen to. Also, we're going to have our panel review and offer their critiques on that music as well. So without further ado, I would like to get into the point where we introduce our panelists. So let's go to New York and meet that guy who controls everything going on during the 4th of July weekend, Mr. Tom Chianti. Hey, Tommy, how are you, sir?
I am very, very happy because I am reminiscing. Today is my youngest son's 28th birthday.
Well, happy birthday to him.
His name is Joseph. He's been traveling the world, doing all sorts of colleges abroad and everything. I'm very proud. He's a member of the U.S. Coast Guard. He did very well there. And I'm just oodles of proudness oozing from every pore of my body.
Well, that's a lot of proudness to be oozed.
Well, he's a lot to be proud of. Not to short sight my oldest son, who builds robot cards and programs, and he's going to be the one that builds the robot that takes over the world.
Well, I guess if you're going to build a robot, your dad should be proud of you, right?
Yes, and especially it's nice to know I'll have an end when they start firing the destructo beams to lessen the human population.
Well, Tommy, do me a favor. If he does start doing that, please keep him away from the cornfields. Otherwise, the robot will not have any gas to, keep the destructo field going.
Oh, this is true. We are going to be corn powered. I've been told I am very corny.
Ethanol.
I
full of
dated
gas.
her once, but I won't tell any more than that.
All right. Well, thank you, Tommy. Always a pleasure having you with us. Over in London, England, Ian Husbands is also with us. Hey, Ian, how are you?
Hello.
Good
I'm
to
here
see
in
you.
London, England. It's hot.
Hot. How hot is it?
About 28.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. So it's been sort of 27, 28 we've had this week, so which is nice.
Did you get out and go to the beach or anything?
No, we went to a fair yesterday, but yesterday wasn't that nice. We actually had rain yesterday, but today it's been rather fantastic. But yesterday we went out because that's a British way. We go out when it's raining.
So you went out on the 5th of July, not the 4th of July, but the 5th. And
yeah, well, you've got to remember, Independence Day for us Brits wasn't really the best of days, was it?
Yeah, I guess you guys really don't celebrate the whole Independence Day thing.
Some of us do. Yay, we finally got rid of them. I have my own private little celebration at home here, but it's not a national thing, no.
Well, I didn't figure it was. Speaking of national things, we do our witness statements every week, and of course, this week is no exception. Last week we had on the show Lemon Tree, their track "Wait," which was the song of the week, by the way, and we'll move into our hit list, which appears this Wednesday on this same channel. So make sure you tune in for that. That's at 5:30 p.m. Eastern live right here. It's the MSI hit list where we'll take all of the songs of the week from the previous month, battle them out, find out who comes out as the band of the month. Anyway, Lemon Tree. Pardon me?
I just wanted to make sure Tom heard that.
Yeah, well, I may be previously occupied with voodoo on Wednesday.
Ah, well, as long as you're previously occupied, you should be here without any problem. Along with Lemon Tree, Marco Hart with their track Just Go, and of course, Origami Horses and She's So Wired were the songs appearing on last week's broadcast. And the witness statements, Ian, say...
Well, controversial week. For the past few weeks...
It was close.
For the past few weeks, people have kind of gone against us and didn't like the decisions we were making. But this week, it's a bit of a split vote, really. Best song and best performance. Both songs 1 and 3 took 50% of the votes each.
Wow.
Not the case in mix and production.
All right. Well, enlighten us.
Well, song 3, Origami Horses, they folded and they only got 25% of the vote. Whereas song 1, Lemon Tree, got 75% of the votes. So overall, song 1 won, but by a hair.
All right. So
that's how we had called it.
That's true. That's true. You did call it Lemon Tree, and I'm glad to see that kind of, sort of everybody agreed.
Yeah.
It was like a 60-40 split, right?
It was a tough week.
I meant we had called it was going to be very close, because I know we had a hard time deciding.
We did.
Yeah, well, now that it's been decided, you can decide again this week, and we'll find out next week if everybody agrees. So, and we'll get to that as we go through the broadcast today. But I do want to get to our guest panelist today. Our guest panelist today has been on the show before a number of times, and we love it every time he comes back and joins us. He's a guitar player with the RutsDC right now, and he's always traveling. I don't know how this guy does. If I had to travel as much as what our guest panelist does, I think I would lose all my hair. Anyway, our guest panelist, Mr. Leigh Heggarty. Leigh, welcome back to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you. Hello. Yes, here we are. That could be why I haven't got your hair either. Have we actually isolated this? I don't know. This could explain everything. Everybody else in my family has a full head of hair and I don't.
It's I think what it is. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe it's the change in the weather when you're traveling that does it.
Oh, well, I've never heard this at all before. I expect you just made it up.
I did. It's sort of like the whole the climate change stuff. They can make it up, so I can make this up.
Sorry, what's your excuse, Rich?
My excuse is a good, cheap razor.
Yes, I use the same excuse regularly. I just took it personally. I didn't really think of any other reason for it. I just, that's where the scary guitar solos come from. That's what I'm thinking about.
There you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it works for me.
Now I know you've been like I said, you've been traveling a lot. You are touring all the time, it seems like. So what's been going on with that? Where have you just gotten back from?
Well, I think been about 6 months since I've been on the show. RutsDC have played some European shows. We did the Rebellion Festival in Amsterdam, which was terrific, apart from the fact that I had food poisoning, and with all that entails, shall we say. We also played a show up in Helsinki, which I've never been to. Never been to Helsinki at all before, so that was good. Nice to go over there. We played with a band called Anal Thunder, which is you can do your own punchline there, lads.
Boom.
Thank you. Thank you. They were pretty good when I saw them, actually. Well, they'd have to be, really, wouldn't they? I think that's if you're gonna walk around all day with a name like Anal Thunder, you've got to compensate for that by being a good band. I think. I don't know.
Did they do the thing? Did they where they came out on stage?
Did they do what thing, Ian?
Good night, ladies. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are
Guys, I've got to leave the room.
To be honest, I was too scared to watch the start of the show. So I don't actually know. This is the country that gave us Lordy, of course. So nothing really surprised me. I don't know if you've seen Lordy.
You'll never be royal.
Maybe. But so that was good. Yeah, we did that. Did some stuff in Germany as well. We've also been stumbling around the UK in a slightly haphazard fashion. But that's been good as well. But maybe on a slightly more serious note, we've been working on some tracks for a new live album, which we're doing. We recorded a couple of shows last year, and we recorded a couple of things this year, including a show we did at the Forum for Captain Sensible's 60th birthday, where we played with the Damned and T.V. Smith, and Johnny Moped played. It was terrific, and it was also Ed Tudorpole was on as well. So it was a really good night. We recorded that show, so that's another. So we've been going through the various recordings to find the best versions of each track.
So when is it that we might be able to see this the live album coming out?
The live album. Well, as always, the easy bit is deciding which tracks to use. We're now at the point of breakup, deciding what to call the album. which, as I say, we're rather sad if the band comes to an ignominious end by not being able to
I can
decide that.
save you from a breakup. This is real easy. I'll save you from a breakup.
I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
What we'll do is we'll take your top 3 choices, and we'll let our viewers decide. What do you think of that?
Oh wow! Well, this has been. As they say, I've lived my entire life for this moment. Let's see if we can get this to happen. There's an old Ruts song called "Love in Vain." So at one point we were going to call it "Live in Vain," which probably gives you an idea of the sort of level we're working on with this. "Tainted Live," I think, was my one. Joking aside, it will be something like live on stage, or it'll be something fairly simple, just so that people can find it. And as somebody said to me, in these days of the internet, you have to give it a title that people can find, which I don't know how true that is. That's quite an interesting point.
I would agree with that. I mean, the whole idea of click here, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. There's been a few slightly more colourful suggestions, but yeah.
You've been talking to Tommy again, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
So,
very quiet and well behaved. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you have been, Tommy.
Very, very sensible.
Just don't look at what I typed in chat.
All right, Tommy, we won't look at that. Now, Leigh, now I know you said you're still working on a title. Any idea of a time when we might expect to see it on the shelves, though?
Yes. Are there any shelves? Are there any shops anymore that sell this stuff?
I know. I'm old school like that. So
am I. I'm just old as well. September is a possibility, but before then, there will be, I think, a reissue of Rhythm Collision Volume 1, which was the RutsDC's last recordings together in their original format. It's not been out on CD for many years. It was never really properly issued, if you know what I mean. So Dave and Seggs have done a remaster of that, and that will be out with a couple of extra tracks before then. I think that's probably going to come out in August. And I think the live album will probably come out in September or maybe October, because there's also a book coming out about the band, really? Love in Vain, the story of the Ruts and RutsDC, which is written by a chap called Roland Link, who's written books on the likes of Stiff Little Fingers and various other things. And he's been doing an extraordinary amount of research into the band. It's wonderfully detailed, what I've read of it. Great stories. If these are the printable stories, the unprintable ones must be quite extraordinary, let's say. But there's loads of facts. There's the full list of gigs, or as much as you can get, that the band played, and coming right up to the present day. So peculiarly, I'm in it, which I still, as originally a fan of the band when I was at school. Now you find yourself in a book about the band.
Now, how surrealistic is that when you think about it, though?
It's very, very strange. The whole thing has moments of extreme oddness. When I think I've said on one of the shows before, I do find myself listening and thinking, wow, staring at the Rude Boys, and you look down and it's your hands playing it. It's a very odd feeling sometimes. You get these very slight moments of great strangeness. And people, some of the things people say, it's remarkable. Yeah.
I'm glad, it sounds like everything with the RutsDC is extremely busy. I mean, 2 albums, a live album, a re-release, a book. The next thing you're going to tell me is you got a movie happening.
Oh, wow. That's classified information. But, oddly enough, it was let's see. But we're also we've got some new songs as well. So we're hoping to do a new album next year. Oh, probably won't be until then. But we're working on some new music, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it would be very exciting. Yeah. Very exciting stuff, and videos in the work, maybe.
All sorts of things. Yeah, it's all being spoken about. But, let's hope we can actually do something.
Well, now,
baking contest?
I'm sorry, Tommy, what was that?
You're going to have a baking contest, a bake-off?
There's always one who has to ruin it for the rest, isn't there?
There is. We had to hire Tommy to be able to have this slot in the day, for the broadcast. So,
It's in my contract.
as someone who is such a bad cook that they can probably burn water, I don't think I'd do very well in any of that, I'm afraid.
Now, let me ask you on a serious note, though.
Yeah.
Since you're touring so much, you're touring a lot of Europe. What time, or could we soon expect maybe the RutsDC to be here in the States?
Well, this has been an ongoing thing for a while. There was talk of some stuff this summer, but it hasn't come off. Principally because we're in Europe at the time that they wanted us to come over. It's the second half of September. We're going to be going. We're doing some stuff in Germany, Poland, I think Czechoslovakia. Or Czech Republic it's called now, isn't it? I still call it Czechoslovakia because I'm quite old. So there was talk of coming over then, but regrettably we're already out at that time. So it is pending. We will, I hope, make it over. Probably not before the end of the year now, but there's talk being talked. So hopefully it will come to fruition. Speaking personally, I'd absolutely love to do it.
Oh yeah, we'd love to see you over here in the States. There is no doubt. It's been way, way far too long.
Well, the original band played there back in the very early 80s.
Yeah.
So that's, and there is a fan base, and you know, I think you probably know Henry Rollins is a big fan. Dave Grohl, I think, then checks the band as a band that he enjoys and things like that. So there is interest. You know, there is an interest in us going across. So hopefully we'll make it at some point.
Yeah, well, I wish you the best of luck on that. We definitely look forward to having you over. That's for sure.
Yeah, but as I say, certainly speaking personally, it would be a really great thing to do.
All right, let me open up the floor to Tommy and Ian, see if they might have a question for you before we get into listening to some music. Ian,
I was just going to say, how surreal would that be if Henry Rollins and Dave Grohl turned up at a gig?
Yeah, well, that again, the surrealometer goes even further at that point, doesn't it? You know, it's quite an extraordinary thing. Although, as I was speaking to Glenn Matlock the other day from the Sex Pistols, so I know from years ago when I was playing in the Price, we used to play with his band then, and his band, the Philistines, are playing before. They're going on before us at the Rebellion Festival in Blackpool in the summer, and he said, "Yeah, try and catch our band. I think I've got Earl Slick on guitar." And I'm thinking, well, that's David Bowie's guitarist. He played with John Lennon, you know, and I'm going on after him. That's pretty strange, you know. That's pretty strange. If
cool.
He does
I feel like...
So, yeah, that's got a lot of cool points, hasn't it? And I'm a big fan of his playing, so it'd be fantastic to play on the same bill as him. I've seen him play with Bowie. I saw him play with the New York Dolls. So it would be just wonderful to play on the same stage as him. You know. So there are surreal moments, as I say.
Well, maybe we can make a surreal moment here today as well. Tommy, I'll leave the door open for you, Tommy, if you have a question. If not,
no, I've already ruined the show according to Leigh because.
Ruined is a strong term, Tom. Ruined is a strong term. You don't be so hard on yourself.
That's right. Take it easy on yourself, Tommy.
This is what passes for humour in Britain. It's not. Possibly.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the first time I've been called the one in the bunch.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, Tommy, on your behalf, I would like to say that you have lost a lot of weight, so no longer can we call you the group in the bunch. So
this is true.
Yeah. So you are the one in the bunch now. so you should be happy about that, Tom.
I'm working on it.
All right. Well, as long as you're working on it.
Getting happier by the second, I think. I can feel it even from at this distance.
I'm looking forward to the reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get to those right now as we start things off on today's broadcast with the first song up for review. So here it is, everybody. This is song number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy.
We're gonna drown. We're gonna drown. We'll drag you down. You know where I go at night, but I know you'll keep my secrets. I hide. You know I've lied 1,000 times, but I know you'll keep my secrets. You're mine. We're going down. We're going down in flames, you'll burn. We're gonna drown. We're gonna drown, we'll drag you down.
That'll wake you up in the morning. That is song number 1 on the broadcast today. And we're going to go over to Ian Husbands, find out what he thinks about it. Ian, right to you.
Rock! Yeah, that rocks, doesn't it? Firstly, I'm going to reiterate the little chat we're having in the chat room there. And Rich was saying that he liked the bass player on this. And I have to agree, the bass, it was nice to hear the bass actually doing something on a lot of this sort of new metal influence stuff. The bass is just plodding underneath. But this guy had some movement, and you could hear him, which a lot of the time in this sort of indie new metal stuff, you find the bass is buried by the guitars. But you can actually hear him, which was quite nice. So that was a good start. Elements of bands like Papa Roach and Alien Ant Farm and stuff like that in this for me, which is good. I like that sort of stuff. But mix-wise, there were a few things. It sounded like the vocalist had been recorded in a separate room with just a couple of mics up on the ambient noise for the band. The band really were set back from the vocalist. And I felt that those guitars could have been a bit brighter. I know you're going for that dark, horrible, nasty sound, but they were sort of stuck in the bottom there with big reverbs on. and the clarity on the guitars wasn't there. Thus, the power from that point of view was lacking. Drums sounded quite good. Liked the sort of the ride cymbal and the hi-hats and the crashes and stuff like that. They sounded great. But when it came to the kick drum and the snare, I found that sounded a bit boxy. And just, again, no clarity to pop out of that mix like it needed to. It all just seemed a bit buried. Excuse me. Vocalist. Liked his voice. Did feel his voice could have been better produced from the point of view of the sound they got on it. It sounded a bit too raw compared to all that sort of big heaviness going on in the background. And I wanted him pulled down into that mix to sit with those guitars a bit better and the drum kit a bit better. He just seemed to be stood far too out there. It's a problem we get on MSI a lot, is we tend to say the vocals are buried. This, I felt, was the other way around. Otherwise, great performances. Really did like the arrangement as well. The sort of weight shifted in times, and they sort of dropped it into half time at the end there and bits and pieces. Really, really liked what they were doing. And this is a band, if you sort of saw live, I think they really sort of rocked the joint totally. But mix does need attention in this. Everything else, I think, is great. It just needs a remix.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Over to Tom Chianti and his thoughts. Tommy, song number 1.
Do we have time for me? I mean, with Ian going in and out there, I thought,
No, you're fine.
If you get on with your review,
I agree with a lot of Ian says. I think it's done very well for the genre. It represents well. It's edgy, a little current. I agree there should have been more thought to put to the vocal to make it more interesting. The guitar sounds, in this type of mix, it's very hard to, get the power, the clarity, and separation that you need. So the players are good. I enjoyed the bass player. The guitars definitely needed some work. The lead vocal was the only thing that, and I'm being picky here because it was very well done. I liked the tempo changes and everybody snapping back in together, and they all were tight. So it's a good track. It follows the genre. I'd call it a demo plus A, as a cut above, but it does need, a little trimming and tweaking in a mix.
All right, Tommy, I appreciate that as well. Leigh Heggarty from the RutsDC, what say you about song number 1?
Well, the first thing I say is that I'm by no means an expert in this genre. However, definitely will echo a couple of points that the lads have made there in terms of the mix and the instrument sounds. The guitars were a bit too nasal for me, although I then have to say again, I'm not an expert in this sort of thing, and that's not a sound that I know very much about. When the opening with the detuned guitars was good, nice and heavy, the riff itself was a little bit generic, but one could argue that can be a good point in terms of getting people interested. When the vocals came in, I think I wrote down here somewhere very clear vocals, and I then wrote down makes it sound poppy. I wonder if that was a deliberate attempt to sort of lighten it a bit. And I know that you may well say there's no point in lightening that style of music, but since this is the only track we're going to hear by them, I wonder if that's a bit more of their MO than I might realise. You know what I mean? They're sort of using the sort of poppier tune over it with a heavy backing. On the other hand, as the lad said, they could just have put the vocals a bit too high in the mix. Or Ian's comment about it being in a separate room was fairly valid by the second verse. I sort of realised it was quite loud. Again, love the changes. The bit with the tempo sort of drastically, there was a kind of throw it in reverse feel in the middle, which I liked. And I also really liked that bass bit, the little bass break in the middle and that. And when the vocal came back in at the end, different rhythm, that was, I think loads of really good things going on there. I want to hear it again, actually. It was, as I say, not necessarily the type of music I listen to very much, but lots of good stuff happening. As I say, echoing the boys' thoughts on the mix and the way it was presented, but rocked along, no doubt about that.
All right, Leigh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Is it called I Know Where You Sleep at Night?
No.
Ah.
It's not. And the name of the track, just for Ian, it's called Secret. It's by a group called Tattered, and we appreciate their sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Again, Secret by Tattered. If you want to send your track into Music Scene Investigation, get it in front of the panel, it's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to musicsceneinvestigation.com and hit the Submit a Song at the top of the page and submit away. It's just that easy. All right, gentlemen, song number 2 is up on the block. And get your take on it after we hear it right now. So here it is, everybody. This is song number 2 on today's Music Scene Investigation. And that is song number 2 on today's broadcast. Now we're going to go over to Tommy first, find out what he has to say about it. So Tommy, what say you?
Yeah, nice change of pace, or maybe not so nice change of pace. In the intro, the reverb on the piano, a lot of times I will EQ or use the parameters in the reverb to give it a specific different sound than just doubling over what the original sound was. And I don't know if they chose a preset to do that or they actually tried doing that, but it gave the piano a little bit too much of a tinny metallic sound that took away from the tower. Vocally, they were a little low. And definitely could have used some more support for the lead singer there. And it sounded like they put together two different types of songs, or two completely different songs altogether, and tried to fusion them together into one. A little too wet, a little meandering. I didn't get the sense of a hook. Dark, I did get a feeling from the arrangement and the music of dark and just dark. It's a demo. There are ways that this can be brought up in many levels with a better arrangement of strings and maybe, again, background vocals and a little bit extra on the instrumentation. It definitely needs some production. Maybe hand it over to a producer with more experience, or really get back to the drawing board, figure out what they really like, what works, and what they can do to make it all flow together better.
All right, Tommy, thank you. Over to Leigh Heggarty and his thoughts on track number 2. Leigh, take it away.
Okay, couldn't be a greater contrast to this previous song in some ways. Definitely go with Tom on the darkness with this one. It was maybe that had that in common with the first one a little bit. For whatever reason, I've written the word Radiohead really big on a piece of paper here. It kind of reminded me of some of their stuff. I liked when it first came in. I thought, oh wow, this is really going to go somewhere. It didn't really go anywhere for me, or maybe a better way of putting it is, it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I liked the different vocal sound, that EQ with the kind of megaphone sort of sounding vocal in the middle. When that came in, I liked that, and that's when I thought, oh right, this is going to now shift, or there's going to be a completely different instrument coming next, and it didn't seem to quite happen. And like Tom, again, I've got the feeling it's maybe some bits put together, possibly as an experiment, possibly to try some ideas out, possibly to try a sound out. I don't know. Definitely a demo, sort of not a finished thing for me. I don't necessarily say it should have a sort of a cheery sing-along chorus in the middle, but it definitely needed something else to happen for me in it. However, a lot of very interesting ideas in the track. Whether there was enough for 4 minutes of music in terms of the amount of ideas that were going on, I'm not sure. But yeah, very, 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 very interesting. Very interesting. Definitely some of the sounds. I think that, Tom touched on the reverbs and things, which even with my hay fever and guitar-addled hearing, I could tell that there was some slightly odd things going on with that. But very interesting indeed.
All right, Leigh, thank you. Over to Ian Husbands next, and his thoughts on track number 2. Ian?
Yeah. I'll start with Leigh. I didn't think it sounded anything like The Darkness.
That wasn't. If you play the tape back, you'll see that wasn't actually what I said.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I apologise. But yeah, it was dark. It was quite sinister. But these guys, as Leigh said, they need to go and listen to Kid A by Radiohead, and they need to listen to some Nine Inch Nails as well and some Trent Reznor stuff, because that's the sort of ballpark they're hitting in. With the big reverbs and the piano sound, especially, they were trying to emulate a Trent Reznor sort of Nine Inch Nails thing, in my opinion. which is great, but it wasn't slick enough. And then when, you know, producers like Trent Reznor and the guys and Radiohead stuff, it's slick. It's lo-fi, but slick lo-fi, if that makes sense. And with this, I found a lot of the boxes sounded like, a lot of the sounds sounded like they were just out of the box. And I think, you know, from the point of view of the sonic palette that's being used, you need to upgrade your synths. You need to get some better sounds to make this sort of depth of atmospheric sort of sound work. The vocal levels were all over the place. Some you could hear, some you couldn't. And just like the other guys, I like the change of pace. I like the sort of almost two songs in one type feel that it had. But it did need some beats, some big half-time dirty beats with, you know, distortion on them and delays and stuff like that, sort of triggering all over the track. And Tom's going to go, you always think this, but, you know, them sort of big, dirty, overdriven guitars sort of just underlying the bottom of the sound, which is what Trent Reznor and people like that would do, just to sort of give it that depth even more and a bit more energy, a bit more vocal layering in places. I mean, I think there's a really, really good start of something here, and I think there's a good producer and songwriter waiting to get out, but it's definitely in demo stage and needs to be taken back, start again, rework the sounds, refine that mix, and bring some more instrumentation in.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that as well.
I'm sorry, Richie. I would agree. This is one of the few times I agree with you where you do need those big guitars, because, like I said, there really was nothing there supporting the lead. So the guitars could have done it. Other instrumentations, a little bit more beats, just something to help the gentleman singing out there, and also, you know, better treatment of the vocal so you can hear him all the time. But you have to support, even though the lead vocal carries the song, it still needs a little help. You know, you can't take a 4-wheel car and only send it out with 3 wheels.
All right.
Indeed. And also, there was a few timing issues on the piano. When people like Nine Inch Nails and Radiohead do these sort of timing oddities, again, they're done with effect. And this guy, they sounded like he just wasn't playing in time, if that makes sense. So again, you need to tighten up some timing on there and get that sounding a bit better.
All right, well, there you have it. Let me introduce this track to everyone. The name of track number 2, it's called Elevator to Space by a group called Blame Bilston, and we appreciate their sending that track into Music Scene Investigation as well. Blame Bilston with Elevator to Space. Up next, song number 3 on today's broadcast. We're going to get right down to it as we're running up on the top of the hour here. So here it is. This is song number 3 on today's MSI. Enjoy it, everyone.
Holding on
And that is track number 3 as we go back to our panel once again. We're going to start things off with Leigh this time around. Find out what he thinks of track number 3. Leigh?
Okay, little simple intro, then more detuned guitars. It's detuned guitar night, isn't it? But there should just have been some detuned guitars on the second track, just as though they would have all been. Anyway,
that's what I was saying.
Riff, yeah, well, there you go. You know. Like the riff, found the vocal sound interesting. There's a kind of a distorted vocal behind it, which I quite liked, or something that was going on. And I don't know enough about this to be able to say what it is, but I like the way it then dropped down with the hi-hat. The arrangement was good. Sort of brighter sounding than the first track, and I don't necessarily mean that EQ wise. It didn't have that sort of slightly grim feel. So that was good. The sort of almost funky bit in the middle was good, and I liked the way the synth solo came in. I was sort of waiting for the guitar, and let's see what he's going to do. Oh, hello, they've done that. You know, so that was a nice sort of unexpected moment. Whether it was the right type of sound for this sort of track, as I suppose a matter of taste. As I say, I found it interesting to hear it just then. Yeah, not sure whether maybe after a couple of listens you might question whether that worked or not. But some good sounds. I'm doing the I don't know much about this type of music bit again, aren't I? But I suppose I'm hearing enough of it that perhaps I should go and find out a bit more about it. Definitely liked that one myself. That was a good track from my point of view.
All right, Leigh, thank you. Over to Ian Husbands and his thoughts. Ian, what do you think of track number 3?
This is a really strong track. It's current. It's got a good hook. I loved the vocal production. I didn't mind the heavy reverbs on this. They worked and they were slick, and they were high quality reverbs as well. Guitar riff was good, the bass was pumping, and the rhythm was driving. I have one criticism of the drummer. I felt he was a bit too much on the snare. I would like to hold back on the snare and sort of just hit the beat a bit more often, rather than sort of doing all the little rolls and the doubles and that he was doing. Don't get me wrong, the production of the drums and the performance were good. But as a personal thing, you know, there was elements of bands like Audio Slave and that in there for me, and the drummers there that is sort of more sort of rock driving rather than that sort of funky upbeat sort of play around on the snare. So I prefer that drive. That's all. Otherwise, I haven't got much bad to say about this. Like the vocals, hopefully it's going to be called Instinct, or This Is Instinct. And yeah, good current pop rock song. I didn't mind the synth solo. I knew where they were going with that. It's, you know, rather than a guitar solo, which isn't in at the moment, the synths worked a bit better from that point of view. So yeah, all worked for me.
All right, and just
well, I wouldn't know that because I don't know anything about current music. You see, so that would explain why I didn't. That's why I wasn't expecting it. So there you go. I still think the Beatles are quite modern. So what do I know? You know?
There you have it. There you have it. Dommy, what do you think of track number 3?
Well, I agree with the guys. It's a very strong track, very well put together. I did miss some backgrounds. I would have liked to. That would have built it a little bit, maybe upped it a little bit. Just, you know, because it was moving, it was grooving. Some real quick, tight backgrounds to answer or to again support the lead vocal, which was sung very well. Mix is very good. The snare is definitely too loud, which may be why Ian thinks it's a little too repetitive. It did get to bother me, you know, especially it was a little bit too hard, too snappy, too poppy on the kick and the snare. They could have come down, rounded out, and I was wishing for more bottom on the track. There was bottom, but there was room for a lot more bottom, which would have, you know, softened up that snare hit and really made this, and it was clear. It was very clear. That's why, again, I said you could add more bottom. Normally, I wouldn't suggest that in a track that wasn't clear. So all around, I think this is, you know, nitpicking here and there. I still think it would be served better to go back in, reevaluate. Does the synth sound, I go with it maybe not being the perfect sound. They should have, I think, experimented a little bit more, but definitely a synth sound there was due. And I think if they'd gotten a little bit more current, that was a very 80s sound. But if they had gotten a little bit more current, a little bit more experimental, maybe an omnisphere sound or whatever, I think that also would have amped it up a little bit more. You know, when you have a good song like this, it's tough to know when to stop. You can spend endless hours, keep adding and adding and adding until you reach the point of no returns. These guys stopped before that, which is good. But I think they might have stopped a little bit earlier, and they could have gone just a little bit more. Is it going to make or break it? I don't think so, but it's a matter of personal taste. If I hear something, I'd like to try it out.
All right, Tommy, thank you very much. The name of this track, everyone, as our prognosticator Ian says, is actually called Instinct, and it's by a group called Breath of Grey, and we appreciate Breath of Grey sending track into Music Scene Investigation. All right, gentlemen, a task you must complete before the day is out is at hand. So I'm going to turn it over to you, let you guys discuss it amongst yourselves, and decide upon a song of the week.
Well, I'm going to jump straight in and go with number 3, please, because we got some good tracks here tonight. But I think as a song, as a production, as a mix, number 3's got it all, whereas the other two are lacking in areas. So number 3, please.
I've got to be free, not 1 or 2, but free.
Is that actually a vote, Tommy, or is that just a song you're singing?
Well.
I just broke out into a melody, all this music kicking around, and not a note from me.
You'll be sending that one in to review next week, won't you?
Well, I just...
No, I will.
Yeah. We should form a group. And record it, you know. All three go for number 3 with many an honourable mention for numbers 1 and number 3 wins. Number 3 wins.
All right, Tommy, did you vote for number 3, or were you just pulling my leg?
Yeah, I said 1, 2, 3.
All right. So unanimous decision it is then. Song number 3, Breath of Grey, and their track called Instinct is our song of the week. Wow.
It was also the only one where Ian got the title right, so I had to go with it.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you that. Of course, we want to hear what everybody out in the chat room and in the audience has to say about the music themselves. So go to musicsceneinvestigation.com/witness. Fill out your witness statement today, and we'll bring you those results next week. Leigh, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Not at all. It was a splendid show. Really good. Great stuff.
We always enjoy it when you come on, and I know you're probably heading back out on the road again before long.
Yes, we probably are. Yes, got a few local shows, and then back RutsDC next weekend in Southend, Festival in Buckinghamshire, and then Guildfest in Guildford. So we've got a good long weekend coming up.
So everybody definitely go out and get tickets to see Leigh and the RutsDC. That'll be fun.
That sounds like another band.
Leigh and the RutsDC. There you go. You should be the headlining name on that, Leigh. See?
When I form my own tribute act.
Why not?
That's exactly how.
Why not? And everybody can find out more about Leigh, what he's up to, and what's going on at leighhaggerty.blogspot.com. That's your website. You get nuts over there, Leigh.
Yeah, it's. I'm still somehow writing that. I really enjoy doing it. So every so often people read it, which is nice.
I do. I do if nobody else does. So there you have it.
Well, that's all right. I'll give you a mention.
You know. All right. Want to thank everybody out in the audience for being here as well. Of course, you can join us live every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get it recorded if you're not into that whole live thing as well. Go to iTunes or your favorite blog, podcast downloader and whatnot. And Ian has a message.
Rich, who's on the show next week, Rich?
On the show next week, joining us next week is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dr. Johnny Starr.
You mean Jimmy?
It's Jimmy, Johnny. His brother's joining too. Don't take it all away from Johnny. Johnny and Jimmy have been around a long time. They just don't hang out much together anymore. But we get them both on the show next week, so make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a good time.
Knew I should have done that one.
What's that?
I knew I should have done that one.
Yeah, you should have done that one. All right, Jimmy Star
And
next
we've
week,
got
everybody.
hit list coming up this Wednesday.
Absolutely, we do. Hit list on Wednesday. Make sure you hang out for it, everyone. Until then, we're going to play out with Instinct by Breath of Grey, our song of the week. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
week.
Bye.
See y'all. Ta-ra.
Drop down, let your love light shine. Oh no, you're no innocent. The indecision that has lived before in your mind will be evicted. Holding on, feeling strong as the drive starts to kick in. Feel the rush down your spine into the place where heaven lives. This is instinct, this is torture. Pain's never felt so good enough. I'm a freak mode, feed me poison. This is gonna be a long night. This is instinct. Crash, crash, bang, bang, let it go. Enough aside, I'm in control. My prerogative is to give a lift to your world. Let your senses go. Easy now, wicked child. It's not about who wins tonight. Feel the rush down your spine. I'm gonna make you come alive. This is instinct. This is torture. Pain's never felt so good enough. I'm a freak mode. Feed me poison. This is gonna be a long night. This is instinct. Base reaction. Blood pumping hard and hot tonight. Come on closer. Catch your freak on. Take it up a notch you can't deny. This is instinct. 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 This is torture. Pain's never felt so good enough. I'm a freak mode. Feed me poison. This is gonna be a long night. This is instinct. Base reaction. Blood pumping hard and hot tonight. Come on closer. Catch your freak on. Take it up a notch you can't deny. This is instinct.